and welcome to another episode of Gaming for Official Use Only. I've honestly stuck to classic conspiracy theories so far in this series, but let's get topical because I like high review numbers and I really want to debunk this bit of stupidity. Oops, spoiler alert. Mind control is definitely an area I could revisit more than once, but let's work off an idea that involves mass mind control without visible evidence. No clue what I mean? What are you, a big, stupid jellyfish? Mass Effect is a fantastic universe of hard science fiction that is, in my opinion, the most consistent technology in sci-fi. It seamlessly blends a reconstruction of classic 80s sci-fi and space opera with the looming terror of Lovecraftian horror. This is all tied together with fantastic writing, with the exception of the final game's ending, that isn't afraid to have fun at its own expense. With the newest release of the Legendary Edition, I cannot stress enough how much these games need to be played. I've covered Mass Effect before, my first video no less, but it was purely about the titular Mass Effect. This time we're talking Reapers. Get ready for spoilers, kids. The Reapers are a race of machine intelligences who cull the Milky Way of advanced civilization every 50,000 years. The cycle has repeated itself numerous times, but this last cycle, the Prothean civilization was able to leave behind clues future races survived the Reapers. The first Reaper to come through in our age was Sovereign, who was disguised as the flagship of rogue agent Saren Arturius. Originally it was thought that Saren was in charge, but as you play the game it comes to light that through a method called indoctrination, Sovereign and the other Reapers take control of the mind of organic beings. One of Saren's underlings, Matriarch Benezia, outright states that she knew it was coming but tried a mental technique to avoid it and unfortunately failed. The process slowly starts to eat the individual's mind, sapping memory and motive until it sinks in completely. The Reapers can choose how much to indoctrinate, from fairly free will to a mindless husk. Saren is allowed more freedom than most indoctrinated, as he esteems more useful having his free agency. However, for a timely defeat under the hands of Commander Shepard, his leash is pulled back and Saren in-game is almost completely enthralled. If your Shepard has a very high Paragon score, it's actually possible to convince Saren to fight the indoctrination, but the most he can muster is to introduce his gray matter to a bullet. In Mass Effect 2, the group Cerberus has found a derelict Reaper, and despite knowing what Reapers can do, they use as a mobile lab. All the personnel succumb to indoctrination. In one of the best written examples of non-magical cosmic horror, you can read the logs of the crew as they're indoctrinated, and it's terrifying. Shepard and crew go in, but there's only husks and Geth left. They do the logical thing and make it go kablooey, while Cerberus' leader, the elusive man, makes a show of it being an acceptable risk. Yeah, sure. Finally, the apocalypse proper arrives at Mass Effect 3 as the Reaper invasion begins in earnest. Each level features a horrifying mix of the Milky Way races and Reaper machines to create zombies and monsters. Despite the elusive man's bitching that he's out to protect humanity, and he made that claim all throughout the first two games, he starts using actual Reaper tech on his soldiers. The Cerberus troops you mow down during the game are all indoctrinated and infected with Reaper machines, making them little more than sentient versions of the husks. Elusive Man claims that mankind's evolution is using the Reaper's own tech to subvert them. Do I need to point out that this doesn't work? Apparently the Reapers love to make individuals of the soon harvested races believe they can use Reaper tech against the Reapers themselves, but that makes about as much sense as spraying a water hose to stop a flood. It ends up, of course, that Elusive Man is indoctrinated because, duh, and been actively working to hamstring the resistance against the invasion. Luckily, Shepard makes the Elusive Man shut up permanently and goes on to end the invasion in a way that really needed a competent writer who didn't string together crap at the last possible minute. Did I say that out loud? Now, Mass Effect is obviously science fiction, so wireless controlling sentient minds isn't possible. Or is it? There's a sizable group of people who believe that wireless mind control is not only possible, it's out now. We normally call it 5G. Now, 5G, or 5th generation, is the current main system of mobile broadband. What others call it is a mix of mind control, plague carrier, and whatever conspiracy theories in vogue at that moment. Somehow, the rolling out of 5G has become a catch-all of conspiracy theories that only get more insane the deeper they go. Their claims range from the standard mind control all the way up to 5G was a source of coronavirus. Let's examine the claims and some of the facts around them. And remember, if your beliefs can't handle facts, you change your beliefs. You don't whine on Facebook about it when they call you up for spreading nonsense. At its core, the theory is that 5G either induces control or causes us to become mindless zombies attached to our glowy screens. While the legitimacy of the boomer idea that the current generation is too attached to our phones, much like how they're attached to rose-tinted glasses, there's no method of controlling a human mind with radio waves. It doesn't even begin to touch the sheer stupidity of thinking an electromagnetic radiation can somehow materialize viruses, let alone create a pandemic of them starting in a country that doesn't have much 5G. But that doesn't matter. 5G is new and hard for some of the conspiracy theorists to understand, so that must mean it's dangerous. Ned Ludd sends his approval from hell. Now, there are others who don't believe that 5G is mind control, but are simply worried that it's unhealthy. They range from simple concern to your crazy old relatives who won't shut up on social media platform of the day. They argue that the radiation from 5G is so powerful it can cause cancer or even cook your flesh at close distances. Unlike the current tech of 4G or below, there is more power in the higher frequencies that 5G operates at, so there is more danger, but the problem is there's not much. So the scary thing is, these people do have some basis for their belief. Emphasis on some. Electromagnetic radiation is a physical process that carries radiant energy via the waves of photons. The wavelength, or the length of time it takes that wave to copy itself, determines a lot of its physical properties as well as the name. Microwaves, visible light, X-rays, infrared, etc. Now the frequency of these repetitions is measured as Hertz, which is the number of repetitions per second. So this obviously starts at 0 Hertz, which is a static field, and goes all the way up to 10 to the 20th power. That's 10 followed by 20 zeros per minute. Now humans have actually evolved ways to sense parts of the electromagnetic spectrum depending on the frequency. You're watching this video thanks to light produced on a screen. Visible lies in the spectrum of 430 to 750 terahertz range. I mean, it's about 430 to 750 trillion waves per second. Now, the ones that are afraid that a powerful frequency can cook flesh are partly correct. 5G signals in the 30 to 100 gigahertz range, or 30 to 100,000 cycles per second. This is about the 3 gigahertz or so that microwave ovens use, and is just below infrared radiation, what we perceive as heat. However, look inside your microwave. The emitter makes a focused emission that uses the metal box you actually put the food into, concentrate the microwave so that even if the beam misses, it bounces around and eventually hit the food. Now this is obviously not how a 5G tower works, so they're open to the air. Infrared is what we perceive as heat, but it takes a large amount of energy to do anything that we feel and does dissipate quickly. Think about how close you have to sit next to a fire to feel any heat, how easily you can get away from feeling it. Infrared radiation is actually a bit higher frequency than 5G, and it's just beyond that as a frequency that you're most familiar with. And not only that, but as the frequency changes, so do the properties of the radiation. Just like how radio waves, which are shorter than 5G, don't act like visible light, 5G doesn't act like microwaves. Just past visible light, you get UV radiation, or what's produced by black lights and tanning beds. Now, this can cause skin cancer, but this is not possible with 5G. If you're so worried about higher frequency radiation, I suggest you never leave your home, because as soon as you walk outside, you're inundated with all manner of electromagnetic radiation that is out of anyone's control. The source isn't even of Earth. It's roughly 8 light seconds away. It's a giant ball of uncontrolled nuclear fusion we call the sun. Every second, it produces more energy than all of mankind does by orders of magnitude. Most of the harmful stuff is blocked by either the ozone layer or the Van Allen belts, which also has a lovely side effect of the auroras we're all fond of. So what happens if we get intense radiation that's higher frequency than 5G? Called spotlight. Visible light would be just a little bit higher in the frequency table, but nobody's really worried about that. 5G can't hurt you even with the scary name of radiation because it doesn't ionize. There are 2 types of radiation, ionizing and non-ionizing. Ionizing radiation has a high enough frequency that can knock electrons out of place, ionizing the atom, hence the name. This is the radiation you have to avoid, as the ionizing part is what does the damage, as the ions mess with cell reproduction and can cause cancer. Problem with thinking 5G is ionizing is that, for one, it's not. How many people will willingly get into an artificial UV light just to tan? UV light does ionize, which is why all sunburns are actually radiation damage. How many of the 5G is killing our brains crowd are the ones who are all behind people being outside instead of wasting away inside? Exactly. 5G cannot hurt you, nor can it control your mind. There is no way you will ever be hurt by a 5G tower unless it falls on you or you climb up and fall off. We really need to get past this baseless meme that anything radiation is instant tumor, your body boiling from the inside out. Radiation is a common thing that refers to a lot of types of energy, most of them at the very least harmful, if not beneficial. For example, we're all fond of sitting next to a heater in winter. Heat is infrared radiation. We like seeing. Visible light is radiation. Long story short, if you don't mind going outside on a sunny day or sitting by a warm fire, you have nothing to fear from 5G. As with most conspiracy theories born of ignorance, this one's on shaky ground at its best, and outright lies at its worst. I've tried before to be even-handed, but I'm honestly sick and tired of people who refuse to accept the facts, so they retreat into their little bubble of willful ignorance. Reality doesn't change just because you're a whiny little idiot who won't face facts. I've never planned on this being a debunking series, but sometimes you just have to. Disinformation spreads faster than wildfire. Well, now with that out of my system, I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe learned something. Questions or comments, of course, can either go downstairs in the comments below, or catch me on Twitter @IThinkIBrokeIt. And as always, thanks for watching.